Good evening, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for March 2, 2024. And in the news this evening, 16-year-old girl fatally shot, man injured in Little London, Westmoreland. A 16-year-old girl was fatally shot and a 38-year-old mechanic was injured after they were attacked at her home early this morning in Little London, Westmoreland. She has been identified as Anita Dennis. The shooting is believed to stem from a love triangle. According to the police, the teen girl and the man were sitting on her veranda talking around 2:15 a.m. when an alleged ex-boyfriend entered the yard and opened gunfire at them. The police were summoned. On arrival, both Dennis and the man were seen suffering from gunshot wounds. They were taken to the Savannah Lamar Public General Hospital, where the teen was pronounced dead and the man was admitted. The Westmoreland police are investigating. Pastor killed in Cassava Peace gun attack. A man was this morning gunned down in Cassava Peace, St. Andrew. He has been identified by his alias Pastor. He is said to be a well-known associate of an entertainer from the community. The news understands that the deceased is no stranger to the police. He was recently charged with murder and is out on bail, a condition of which included reporting to the police. A source told the news that he last reported to the Constant Spring police on Thursday. It is reported that about 11 a.m., residents heard explosions and summoned the police. On arrival, the man was seen lying in blood. He died at the scene. Detectives are now on the ground, combing the area for clues. The police are also putting measures in place to prevent any reprisal. Up to February 17, the St. Andrew North Police Division recorded 2 murders, a 50% decline year-on-year. Cops list the gang ties of man killed on Election Day. The police have provided details on the gang ties of a man they fatally shot in Flanker St. James on Election Day. 24-year-old Peter Johnson was killed during an alleged shootout with police on Kodak Drive. The incident, which occurred about 1:30 p.m., was just meters away from the Flanker Primary and Infant School, which at the time was being used as a polling station for the local government election. The police said a gun was found on Johnson. They also described him as a person linked to a number of crimes in Flanker and other sections of St. James. The police version of events was rejected by residents who said Johnson had his hands raised when he was fatally shot. His mother also insisted that he was not a gunman. However, on Friday, Assistant Commissioner of Police for Area 1, Clifford Chambers, provided details on what they know of Johnson's connection to gang activity. He is a well-known shooter for one of the gangs, the Alliance Gang, that is in Mount Salem. He has featured in 4 murders and 3 shootings, the ACP told the news. He was associated with a top-tier gangster, and I guess he had been on the police radar for quite some time and has been the subject of several police joint military operations, he added. Chambers said the police are now looking at a previous criminal activity to ascertain if any are linked to Johnson. Investigators are now using forensics to see if a hit can be established between other murders and the shootings that took place in St. James, particularly in Flanker and Norwood, to see how they can clear up some of these crimes that he might have been involved in, he stated. When Johnson was fatally shot by the police on February 26, some residents staged a brief protest. They insisted that he was killed in cold blood and the gun seized had been planted on him. The incident disrupted voting for about an hour and a half. St. Catherine businessman charged over gun seizure. Detectives assigned to the Old Harbor Police in St. Catherine have arrested and charged a businessman with the breaches of the Firearms Act. He is Kevin Bent, otherwise called Kevin Square, 48-year-old of East Bay, Old Harbor, St. Catherine. Bent was charged today with possession of a prohibited weapon and unauthorized possession of ammunition. The police report that about 1 p.m. Friday, March 1, cops were on duty in the Old Harbor Town Center when a Honda CR-V sports utility vehicle was stopped along Darlington Drive. The driver complied and the vehicle was searched. The police say a bag found on the front passenger seat was checked and a 9mm pistol fitted with a magazine containing 9 rounds of 9mm cartridge were discovered. he was taken into custody. He was formally charged today after a question and answer session in the presence of his legal representative. His court date is being finalized. 2 alleged goat thieves chopped to death in Clarendo, 3rd hospitalized. 2 alleged goat thieves were chopped to death in the Rio Mino area of Rock River, Clarendo on Friday, the police say. A 3rd alleged accomplice reportedly escaped with minor injuries and remains in police custody. One of the deceased has been identified as Winston Cameron of a James Hill address in the parish. The second deceased remains unidentified. Head of the Clarendon Police, Superintendent Carlos Russell, said about 1:30 p.m. on Friday, residents intercepted a motor vehicle with 3 men aboard who were reportedly seen stealing goats in the area. The men ran from the vehicle and the citizens gave chase. 2 of the 3 men were caught and the citizens tried to effect an arrest but were met with resistance, said Russell. He said machete-wielding residents subsequently inflicted several chop wounds to the men. They were taken to hospital where 2 were pronounced dead and the 3rd man treated for minor injuries and taken into custody. Russell, while imploring residents to desist from taking matters of justice into their own hands, also gave a strong message to hoodlums who seek to disrupt the livelihood of farmers. The farmers are going through a rough time and these predator larcenists are preying on the farmers as a lot of goats and other cattle are being stolen. We want to say to these men, leave the farmers alone and find a job. Let the farmers survive, said Russell. 8 murders were recorded in the parish up to February 17. Calls for Warmington's removal from Parliament's integrity committees. Bartlett says matters have to pass through parties' crucible. Anglican Archbishop of the West Indies and the Bishop of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, Dr. Howard Gregory, has argued that a controversial lawmaker, Everald Warmington, is unfit to remain as a member of the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee and the Joint Select Committee reviewing the IC law. Warmington declared in a video that went viral that he would not channel public funds to People's National Party councillor-elect Dr. Kurt Wall in the Old Harbour South Division in his constituency, but would instead allocate resources to the losing Jamaica Labour Party candidate. He should step aside and it should come automatically in light of his public comments, said the senior member of the clergy. He added, it is most inappropriate for him to continue on those committees to play with things that have to do with integrity and the commission. And Lloyd B. Smith, a former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives and a political commentator, said Warmington's utterances as a Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Southwest and in his then capacity as Minister with responsibility for works should disqualify him from remaining on the parliamentary committees. At the same time, Michael Jackson, Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice, has echoed similar concerns about Warmington's continued membership on the 2 parliamentary committees dealing with integrity-related issues, as well as the committee reviewing the Protected Disclosures Act. His conduct and utterances make him unfit to review key legislation and the framework responsibility for integrity and anti-corruption in the country. It is inimical to good governance to have this representation continue. He must be removed forthwith by the Prime Minister, Jackson said. But the chairman of the ICOC and the committee reviewing the IC law, Edmund Bartlett, said the choice of whether Warmington remains on the committee or not is his, and it's not for the Parliament to say that he is not fit or proper to be on the standing or ad hoc committees, sessional or otherwise, of the Parliament. He stressed that as chairman of the committee, it was not in his place to express a personal position on the matter, as that is a decision that the member would have to make himself. All these matters have to pass through a crucible within the party, so we don't just appoint members willy-nilly, nor do we dismiss members in a similar form, he told the news. Bartlett, who is also leader of government business in the House, said that membership of committees in the House is related to your standing as a member of the House, and everyone in good standing in the House is eligible to be a member of all standing and other committees of the House. According to Bartlett, the fact that he has made a statement for which he has expressed apologies and for which he is bearing the ultimate price of not being a cabinet member anymore makes the point about his position of contrition in that regard. However, Smith contended that the controversial lawmaker should do the honorable thing and recuse himself from those positions. He noted the Integrity Commission statement, which signaled that the board of the anti-corruption body was planning to review Warmington's remarks at its next meeting on March 4. We need persons of a certain level of integrity to sit on those bodies without any sort of baggage attached, he said. The JFJ boss said her organization welcomed Warmington's sacking from the cabinet, as well as the removal of Dennis Meadows as the People's National Party's caretaker for Trelawney Northern for statements he made that were widely viewed as supporting lottery scamming activities. While speaking on the campaign trail recently, Meadows stated that, "I have no problem with a man if him want chop, because they chop us during slavery." He added that, "The only problem with chopping is when you bingo and you score. Use the money wisely." Commenting on Warmington's statement, in which he tendered an apology for his remarks, Jackson said there was no real self-accountability given the levels of obfuscation and basically insulting the Jamaican people by saying what was clearly seen in the video was not what it was: political victimization and the promises of misappropriation of public funds. Continuing, she said, "We take offense to this. For a leader to demonstrate they are worthy of our trust, self-accountability and contrition are important when harm is done. We therefore call on Mr. Warmington to offer his resignation, as he has disqualified himself from sitting in the House of Parliament due to his consistent crude behavior that undermines the principles of good governance, the Constitution, and the sense of moral authority. The ICOC has the duty of monitoring and reviewing the performance of the functions of the Integrity Commission, reporting to both Houses of Parliament on any matter relating to the performance of the functions of the Integrity Commission, reviewing the annual report and any other report of the Commission, and submitting recommendations in relation to both Houses of Parliament."